Keys to victory on Crossover Thursday on the Locked On Podcast Network, presented by Prize Picks, where you can play $5 and get $50 instantly with code Locked On NFL. Locked On Bengals and Locked On Cowboys here talking Monday Night Football. And Marcus, let's start with those Dallas keys to victory. Cooper Rush, obviously, at the top of the list, right? I mean, really focused on Cooper Rush here, if you can't tell.
No, we could be... I don't want to talk about Cooper Rush. He's just a backup quarterback that kind of does the job of a backup quarterback. What Dallas does...
Living rent-free in my mind, obviously.
Clearly.
No, it's the defense in this one. Dallas isn't going to be able to stop Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and Teagan's. Like, they're going to put up points. But as we saw last week, the way to beat this Bengals offense is to create turnovers. And we saw the Bengals give away the ball 3 times last week, 2 strip sacks, 1 fumble that got tipped twice. The Cowboys have the playmakers on defense to do it. Micah Parsons can wreck this game. Listen, there's no Steeler fans in this. So Micah Parsons is a better player than TJ Watt. He can have a similar impact in this game, whether it's rushing inside, rushing outside. They've got Deron Bland back, who is one of their big-time playmakers. He's going to get beat. He's not going to slow down Higgins and Chase, but can he make a key play here or there to flip the game? I think that's possible. So for me, if the Cowboys want to win this game, they're going to have to do it on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's how Joe could still be great, but if you're going to make things chaotic around him, then you see it. You can give up points and still live with it. And so, well, it would not shock me at all. And I know, by the way, that'll be probably the first thing that Zach Taylor will mention when we ask him, hey, what do you need to do this week? It's like, win the turnover battle. It was last week, by the way, too. He said the game's going to come down to turnovers, and obviously it was a huge factor.
And one of the things that Mike Zimmer has done really well is the Cowboys, since Micah Parsons has returned, they've created pressure on 50% of their third down plays on their opposing quarterback. So they are going to blitz the crap out of Joe Burrow. Burrow's really good at beating the blitz, but can you force him to get rid of the ball quicker, throw into tight windows, get tip passes? That's what you're going to have to be able to do if you want to stop this offense.
Zimmer's always been so great on third downs. I mean, obviously, Bengals fans who have been around since before Joe Burrow anyway, back in the Zimmer days, know that Zimmer is a chef on third downs.
Yeah, he's been unbelievable. Hey, guys, can we pause for 2 seconds?
Yeah.
All right, just give me 1 second. All right, James, what do the Bengals need to do here on Monday night to win this game?
Well, first things first, you got to protect Joe. And that one means if you protect him, then yeah, he should be able to do what he's done all season long, and you should be able to avoid the chaos that was 3 turnovers against the Steelers. And the last thing you want to do is do that on the road. The second thing would be turnovers. Can this defense force a little chaos? Can they wreak a little havoc? And then third, don't let Cooper Rush dink and dunk. Make him push it down the field a little bit, which is scary to say because it might still work. But I would much rather that than a little dump off to Rico Dowdle that's going to go for 15, 18, 22 yards. Luke Schoonmaker finishing with 6 catches for a $110 or something like that, and 2 of them are tight end screens. Like I don't think anyone wants to see that. So that's the key for every single week. It's going to be protect Joe, and then after that, it's going to be up to this defense.
Yeah, we can't let Jake's guy Cooper Rush take over this game. Clearly, like that's the last thing we want to see here.
You're going to be on the post-game show with us if Cooper Rush goes off, Marcus.
Oh, Russell Wilson back. Just threw for 414. So like I'm not ruling anything out.
But you talk about those dink and dunks, James, and the check down stuff. If Dallas can just go quick game and the Bengals are like 8 yards off again and not tackling because that's what they've done this year, they haven't tackled all year, then the matchup that you love if you're the Bengals defense, which I mean we've talked about this several times. This is Trey Hendrickson against a potential third string. You were saying, Marcus,
yeah,
left tackle,
yeah,
and Trey loves bad backup left tackles. I mean, we've seen him this year. Even Fred Johnson gave him issues with
the Raiders.
Game. Yeah, I mean, there are some games you expected him to do a little bit more than he did, but he's also eventually taken over games against bad tackles. Was it Fred Johnson was with the Raiders? Was he?
Eagles?
Eagles. Yeah.
No, the Raiders is when Trey Hendrickson racked up 4 sacks.
Right.
And it's why he's leading the NFL. Yeah.
And against the Kansas City Chiefs back in week 2 and their left tackle issues, like he got a left tackle benched in that game. He went crazy. He was the reason the defense almost won the Bengals the game. So if you're looking for somebody on the defense to do it, that's Trey, but Trey can't win in a second.
No,
he needs a second and a half. You can't let the ball come out. Can't be catch and throw real quick.
The last thing I want to say here is when you have 2 bad teams, motivation does matter. And I think the Bengals actually did a pretty good job last week of competing against Pittsburgh. Like they were into that game and you could see that they were fighting hard. They just fell short. The turnovers had a big deal with it. But now that they're 4-8, have they come to the conclusion that the season really is over? And do you see guys start to mail it in? I think we saw this a little bit from the Cowboys as soon as the Dak Prescott injury happened. To Mike McCarthy's credit, he's had them playing really hard the last couple of weeks. Can Zach Taylor have his team do the same? Or are we now in let's preserve our body mode and be ready for 2025? I'll be interested to see what the motivation and the energy level is from both of these teams on Monday night.
Yeah. And Zach has done a good job. Like even last year after Joe went down, he kept everyone together and they were able to win 3 straight at one point in December. Can you continue that knowing? I think Joe knows and is just kind of accepted it. Last week we heard from him after the game, heard from him, and his message is, the film doesn't lie. Go out there and put good film out there. And it's oh, interesting. So I do think that they'll respond, but it'll be interesting to see if they actually go out there and do it.
Yeah, that'll be one of the many storylines we're watching on The Simpsons or regular broadcast. You have choices on Monday Night Football this week.
Bart versus Homer.
I might go for The Simpsons if I can. That might add some spice to this game between teams with losing records.